after Mother's Day. This was after a period of recovery. He had broken a tooth, he found something for pain, and I found him when I came home from work the next morning. The next time could be the last time, and it's important that people remember that. I need notes because I'm a terrible squirrel chaser. Y'all will be all over the place. But I wanted to share that I went through several phases as a parent going through this journey. The first stage of course, is oblivion. I had no idea there was a problem. I had no idea. So then, suspicion rolls in, and you start to suspect, and you can't quite put your finger on what's going on. And of course, if you ask questions, you might get a little gaslighting. They think they're telling you you've lost your mind, that everything's fine. Then we went to the state of denial, because you know what? I raised my son in church. He knew the Word of God. The boy played music. He was a musician. He played in front of thousands of teens. He did outreaches. We did all kinds of things. How can my son, who was raised in church, possibly be an addict? It's time for the church to wake up. The reality is that the evidence will eventually come along and slap you in the face. There's no longer any ability to deny what's happening in your life, in your household. And part of my mission, I kind of have a couple missions here. One is it's about judgment. It's about not knowing what we don't know. In this phase of my life, the reality caused a lot of anger, and any parent would be angry. This isn't who I raised you to be. Guilt comes along. What did I do? What did I do to fail you, to cause you to behave this way? Embarrassment comes along with, when you find out that they've stolen money from this person, or now they're homeless, or they've committed some criminal offense. It's now public knowledge. And so there's some embarrassment that came along with that, which actually creates a little more anger. I was pretty furious with my son at one point. And we did some tough love. We did some hard and fast parameters because we were only going to tolerate certain behavior in our home. So if you're going to insist on doing what you're doing, you cannot live here. So as time rolls on and you realize that your person is being overtaken by substance abuse, fear. Any parent walking through this with their child knows exactly what I'm talking about, because the reality is, at any moment, that could be the last moment. You have a sense of heartbreak and disappointment, because you know what? They just went through a season and they were doing so well, and now they're not. And I think probably the most eye-opening of all the phases that we went through, the things that we walked through, was the fact that you can grieve a living person. I could see my son, I could touch my son, but what was talking back to me was not my son. It was the drugs. It was the need to, and I didn't understand. See, I'm grateful. I am grateful I got to walk through recovery with my child. Even though he's not here today, I learned lessons from my son that I want to share. I want other parents to know. Number one, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. There's nothing faulty. Don't ask what's wrong with you. Ask what happened to you. How can I help you? That's where we're at. And the thing that in the effort to help my son through recovery, he came back home. He died at home, and I'm grateful for that, because there were so many times that he could have been lost. I could have gotten a phone call. Can you come identify your son? Or we just never knew what happened to him. He went to Baltimore to get drugs and never came back. And I know parents who are living the heartache of a child who died. They were murdered, or every horrific thing I just said. My stepson, a year after my son passed, died in a park in Florida. That breaks my heart. He died in a park. We had to find a place to go and grieve for him, because we didn't know the exact location. That's heartbreaking. But what I found from my son, what I learned, was that every phase that I went through, all of the embarrassment and anger and oblivion and suspicion, because he didn't start out going, yep, I'm an addict, I have a substance abuse problem. He didn't. He was as oblivious to what was going on. He was having a good time, probably the first time. And then he suspected things were wrong. And then it grew. He dealt with his reality and the anger, because you know what? The people who loved him didn't necessarily treat him the same way. And like Pastor Steve said, you know what? When you're doing things that your people don't agree with, you're not going to come around much because you don't want to hear it. But what really impacted me was the fact that not only did he go through those things, he went through the hopelessness and the helplessness that I did. He felt out of control just like I did. I couldn't do anything, but he felt out of control. So one night, I work nights, and I thank God for that. One night at work, God gave me a little something to write. And this is from my son's perspective. It's okay not to be okay. Not being willing to admit we're not okay is going to lead to our destruction. We have to be able to talk about it. So it has to be acceptable to my support team that I'm not okay today. If I feel judged or shamed, I will not admit that I need extra help today, and I may use. And the shame of that failure will get added to the shame I'm already carrying. Sometimes I may use just to stop feeling anything. I might need a timeout from life. Maybe I'm just trying to feel normal. Maybe I'm using to escape my own thoughts. Because you know what? The battle's between your ears. And there were times he needed to silence that voice. My family doesn't trust me. They don't understand. I can't keep a job. I see the pain in my mother's face. And I want to be able to give her and my family and my friends just one thing today that they can be proud of. But I can't seem to do that. I can't get out of my own way. I don't want to be sick, and I don't want to bring any more shame. I don't want to bring any more embarrassment. And I'm really not wanting to participate in criminal behavior, but I have exhausted all my options, and now stealing and cheating people is all I've got left. I can't keep a job. I want to be respected and respectable, but today I'm doing the only thing I know how to survive. My family really doesn't understand because they've never lived this way. And this is the truth. I did not understand. Does it excuse the fact that he did things that were wrong? Absolutely not. But what I would have liked to have known sooner was the fact that he needed help. It needed to be okay for him to come to me and for us to find help. Doesn't mean he was going to get clean the first time. Doesn't mean that. Many people, and I know there are people here who can tell you they will relapse over and over and over, but don't give up. You can't give up. So my personal survival, well, let me back up a second, because I compare, this just came to me, I just lost a brother who died from consequences of a lifetime of alcoholism. And what occurred to me as I'm sitting on my porch one morning is that substance abuse disorder is like getting lost in a maze without a map. You can get in there and you can think that, okay, today I got this. I'm on my way out. And then you get a little discouraged because it's taken too long, or you made a wrong turn and you're getting a little turned around, and the next thing you know, you're further in than you were at the beginning of the day. You need help to get out. My personal survival has been due to my relationship with Jesus Christ. The importance of that relationship is immeasurable. Because let me ask you as a parent, if you have a child, what do you do the morning after